Yes, you may. I am present. Ms. Grzymkowski.
Here.
Ms. Ryan.
Here.
Mr. Dimick.
Here.
Ms. Dodd.
Here.
Ms. Cotter is absent. And Mr. Wiseman.
Here.
Present and accounted for.
Thank you very much. Could everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could I have a motion as it relates to the agenda that's before us today?
I'll move.
Moved by Member Pestana, seconded by
Amy can do it. Give it to Amy. A support.
support by Member Grzymkowski. Could I have a roll call, please?
I am a yes. Ms. Grzymkowski.
Yes.
Ms. Ryan.
Yes.
Ms. Dodd.
Yes.
Mr. Dimick.
Yes.
And Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Approval.
Thank you very much. Before I have items from the board president, I just want to make certain that everyone in the audience is aware that in the back of the room we have citizens participation forms. Thank you for attending tonight's meeting of the Huron Valley School Board of Education. We welcome our Huron Valley community's input and comments. If you have any comments or concerns regarding the agenda or non-agenda items, please fill out the form and pass it on up to Lori so that you can be recognized. With that, next on the agenda is items from the board president. First of all, the first item I would like to spend a moment on is if I can find my notes real quick. We had a community forum, and I just want to thank everyone that participated in the community forum on March 7th and 8th, Tuesday and Wednesday. The community had two nights during that time for an opportunity to have one-on-one conversations with the Huron Valley Board of Education. I'd like to recognize each and every one of you for participating on those two nights. We had over 30 people that took advantage of this time to talk to the school board about the district, get questions answered, and get to know us as a Board of Education representing the community. I was very pleased to see the people coming forth and taking advantage of this opportunity. The community is always welcome to attend board meetings, but this type of atmosphere and opportunity is one that we always want to do so that we have an opportunity to reach out to our community and provide some opportunities for us to get to know you as well as you getting to know us, and also to hear comments from you so that we can respond, and more importantly, we can get back to administration so they can circle back to you. We had a number of comments that were brought forth. One of the things that was very unique and somewhat refreshing compared to other community forums was the wide array of conversations that we had in the past because of certain situations that we're facing. Quite frankly, the worldwide pandemic, those were items that were at the top of the list during past community forums. This one, receiving notes from other board members, really covered the whole gambit of items, and I appreciate you sending that information on to me, and I shared a lot of that information as well as you did with our superintendent and COAT members. I know that, for example, there are conversations about the Special Olympics and how we can reach out to work with our Special Olympians to provide opportunities for them. There was a number of conversations about safety and security and various protocols that we had. Conversations as it relates to our facilities and how they might be available, for example, our fitness room, and how they might be available more so for our students during the after school. Communication, social media as it relates to emails, text message options, so that parents can be informed of the various things that are going on in the district in a wide array of formats. There were a number of people that came and were not only expressing wanting to get some information as it relates to particular items, but we're very, very passionate and very respectful and very, very much enthused by the opportunities that their children have had with their teachers and the relationships that our students within our Huron Valley and the opportunities and what quality teachers and administration and support staff that we have. And that was a message that was brought forth. Very complimentary about the various improvements that we've made within the district through the efforts of our administration, but more importantly, through the support of our community. That was extraordinarily important. We had an opportunity to listen to parents that were talking about the process as it relates to our seniors who are about to graduate and how they might receive some additional assistance as it relates to filling out their applications. And quite frankly, it was just a very nice 2 evenings of conversations, and we look forward to continuing this process in the future. So I do want to say thank you for everyone that participated, and once again, our Board of Education that took the time out to meet with our community. The other thing I'd like to touch base with is once again thank our Board of Education. March is a reading month. There's nothing that I enjoy more, and I know talking to our board members that they have really embraced and enjoyed the opportunity to read to primarily the little ones, as Dr. Salah says, our kiddos, and it's been a lot of fun. Not once again, it gives us an opportunity to read some books, all right? Maybe some books maybe that we don't read on a normal basis. They're certainly not found in our Board of Education package, that package that we received on Thursday, but had a lot of fun, not only reading, but really connecting with our students and giving us an opportunity to really see the dynamic work that our teachers are doing every day in the classroom. So I do want to say thank you for inviting us. I know March is not over. I know a number of us are still reading and going to buildings. So enjoy, have fun. The kids love it. I can tell you that for a fact. And we look forward to the rest of the month as March is reading month. The next item, I'd like to turn over the microphone to Laura Dodd. Laura not only is our Vice President, but represents the Board of Education on our GRC committee, which is Governmental Relations Committee for Oakland County. And she also represents us in a variety of areas as it relates to our relationships with our local, state, and federal governmental officials. So with that, Laura.
Sure, and of course, my computer just went to sleep. So usually in the State of the County address from Oakland County, there's not a lot of school stuff covered because really our intermediate school district and our county government operate separately. Oakland County was the recipient of a substantial amount of American Rescue Plan Act funds. And so Oakland County government has taken the opportunity to address needs in our communities that include and overlap with schools. So I just want to talk about a few things that were included in the State of the County address that have direct impact on either our students or our schools or possibly both. So there were 3 areas that were addressed in the State of the County. The first is Acorn to Oak. It's a program that provides grants to Oakland County residents ages 8 to 18 years old to pursue their passions, their talents, and their futures. The Acorn to Oak mini grants will help show young people that we're confident and optimistic about their future. And that's the words of County Executive Coulter. One great example, and I see 3 people from the Hot Robotics team here in the front, was he was talking about, in Oakland County, if there are students who are part of a team that's able to go on in higher level competitions, that's very expensive. So if there's a student in the Hot Robotics team that maybe is struggling to be able to afford their obligation to pay for some of these things, come to the Acorn to Oak program and possibly get a scholarship and some funding for things like that. So that's a new program. I did go on the website. I didn't see where you can find out more, but stay tuned for information there. Next, they talked about investing $5 million in grants to organizations for out-of-school activities, ranging from tutoring to recreational activities and social emotional learning, with the hope these programs can better equip kids to close the academic and social gaps created by COVID. So grants are going to community organizations and I think also some schools to provide some of that after-school care. Finally, they talked about LeBron James I Promise schools. I had never heard about the LeBron James I Promise schools, so I looked at it a little bit more, and they're public schools that are committed to working, whose mission is to positively affect the lives of children and young adults through education and co-curricular educational initiatives. They believe that an education and living an active, healthy lifestyle is pivotal to development of children and young adults. So there was a conversation about looking more into these LeBron James I Promise schools and how that model or some of the models or learnings that they're doing in those districts might be applicable here in Oakland County. I had never heard of this. I think it's something we could look into as a district to figure out what is this and how does that mimic things we're already doing, or how is it things that we could possibly do. And they shared a commitment to working with local foundations, businesses, and the intermediate school district to bring the community school model of the I Promise schools to interested Oakland County schools. So certainly something for us to look into. And I believe the website was ipromiseschool.com, where we can learn more. I just did a little bit of reading this afternoon. So those are three things from the Oakland County State of the County address that could impact our students and our schools.
Thank you very much, Vice President Dodd. Next on the agenda is recognition. Dr. Salah.
Thank you, and I would invite Ms. Rothler to the podium for this segment of the agenda.
Good evening. We have a couple very special Huron Valley recognitions today. I would like to first start with the Huron Valley Education Foundation. The HVEF is a volunteer-driven organization that provides support to students and staff in a variety of ways. Each year, the foundation offers grants to many across our school community. Now, if our two HVEF co-chairs, Nick Peruski and Denise Pastana, can join me here and tell us a little bit more about the Educational Foundation.
Thank you, Barb. So Denise and I are here on behalf of the Huron Valley Educational Foundation. We appreciate your time and the opportunity to speak with you tonight. Today is a fun day for us because we get to highlight some of the teacher grants and recognize them for all the cool things that they're doing in their classrooms this year. So first, a little bit more about the HVEF. It was founded in 1996. And to date, we funded just over 475 grants, so we're almost close to 500. And we've given out just over $600,000 worth of grants back into classrooms to help support our students, giving them unique learning opportunities that they might not have if it weren't for the HVEF. As Barb mentioned, the HVEF is a volunteer organization. So I'd like to ask any board members of the HVEF that are here today to stand up so we can recognize them. There's a few that are around the room. So if we could give them a round of applause. So Dr. Salah, Jeffrey Van Gotham, Denise Pastana, Tricia Campbell, and Mark Gatesman are all members. And then in addition, we have Denise Forrest, Jennifer Hollander, who I missed, who was over there, I apologize, Matt Jenkins, Sharon Keenan, Sherry Miles, Natalie Moore, are all members. And again, they volunteer our time to help support our classrooms and our students, so we thank them. This year, the HVEF funded 25 grants, totaling approximately $20,000 across the spectrum of K-12, including at Apollo, the Huron Valley Council for the Arts, and Rec and Community Ed. And today we're going to talk a little bit about some of the grants that were funded. First, however, we thought it would be cool to show off some of what the HVF does by having some students share their perspective. So Mr. Scott Rolando's video production class put together 2 short promos that highlight some of the cool opportunities that students have had in their classrooms. And so we'd like to take a couple of moments to show you the 2 videos that our students put together.
With our HVEF grant, my computer science classes were able to purchase 3 of these desktop arcade systems, and we got to build them while in class. It was amazing. With our HVEF
Hi, I'm Amanda Beckett. I'm a science teacher at Lakeland High School. This is my 18th year at Lakeland, and I'm a 3-time winner of the HVEF grant. I have bought some really amazing stuff for my classroom with my grant money. Some of my favorite things that I've gotten, I was able to do a set of slides with parasites on them and then work with local veterinarians and have them come into class and talk with my students about parasites and careers in veterinary medicine. We're able to explore some careers in the medical field using some blood pressure cuffs and stethoscopes and digital thermometers and all sorts of stuff. The Education Foundation grant lets me buy things that are out of the box, like fun things that I don't normally get to buy with my normal supply monies that I get every year to buy just normal supplies, and lets them have experiences that they probably wouldn't normally get to have in class. Thank you so much to everyone who donates, and thank you to the Huron Valley Education Foundation.
So those promos were created by Camille Murdoch, Nevaeh Chambers, Chase Daly, Madison Nelson, and Anna Schramm, who are all Lakeland High School students in Mr. Rolando's advanced video production class.
Hi, I'm Amanda Beckett.
All right, so now on to our grant recipients from this year. So HVEF grant recipients, if I call your name, please stand up. And then at the end, we'll do a group shot of everyone together. So first off, early childhood, Sonia Bohm was awarded a grant, and it was to help support our students be able to better regulate their emotions and help meet their social emotional well-being. At the elementary level, from Country Oaks, we had Stacy Rennie. From Heritage Elementary, we had Susan Black, Kim Zalay, Angel Smarsty. From Highland Elementary, we had David Rega, Karen Emerson. From Lakewood Elementary, we had Rachel Thornton. And from Spring Mills, we had Sylvia LaPratte. At the elementary level, our grants, a lot of them were working to support literacy, helping to support our students' social emotional well-being. And there was also some career readiness, focusing on career awareness in particular, helping to expose students to coding, robotics, and creating STEAM kits for students. And then also helping foster their love of art and music, purchasing different instruments and creative ways to help learn notes for students. So color coding pianos and keyboards to help students learn notes, and again, to foster that love of the arts. So congratulations to our elementary winners. At the middle school level, Muir Middle School had Cherie Lozon and Eric Williams. Oak Valley, Dave Brown was awarded 2 grants. And at White Lake Middle School, Brian Dawson, Joey Webb, and Janet Buchanan were awarded grants. At the middle school level, a couple of the grants were focused on helping students to develop social skills, creating opportunities for them to travel outside of our school district to interact with those in the community to practice those really important social skills. And then I think a return to the basics. So a lot of handheld tactile things that students could touch and use to learn the content that the teacher was trying to help them work through. Pieces to bring science alive, and even a sewing machine, helping students to, play with that medium that I think a lot of students haven't had the experience to prior to middle school. So some neat ideas at the middle school level. At the high school level, at Lakeland High School, Meredith Johnson, Laura Smith, Caitlin Muller, and Amanda Beckett were awarded grants. And then at Milford, Paige Riley, Lori Gleason, and Emma Flynn. And Lori brought some students with her from the Hot Robotics team. So we're happy to have you. Congratulations. And then we also had a couple community grants this year. So we had Shannon Loso from Rec and Community Ed and Georgia Bingham from the Huron Valley Council of the Arts. And the grants were helping to support scholarships for students to be able to participate in the various programming that's offered, and then bringing in performers from outside of the district to expose our students to different musical acts that they might not otherwise have seen without the help of the foundation. So congratulations to Shannon. If you would like to find out more about the foundation, or if you'd like to make a donation, you can head on over to our website, hvef.net. And with that, we thank you for your time. And once we're able to, we'd love to have all of the recipients head on up to the front for a photo opportunity.
Why don't we go ahead and do that now? Stand up in front there with the photo. No way. No.
Thank you. If we can give them another round of applause. And as they are taking their seat, we do have one other recognition tonight. Goes to our wonderful community partners, Feldman Chevrolet. They have been an incredible support to many of our schools, but most especially Highland Elementary. So I want to welcome up Highland Elementary Principal Tricia Campbell now to share us with more.
Good evening. I am Tricia Campbell, and I am the very proud principal of Highland Elementary School. And tonight, I am here to talk about some of my heroes. As children, we often identify heroes as famous people, and for me, it was always athletes. The walls of my bedroom were covered in posters of Michael Jordan, Bo Jackson, and because I spent my elementary years in Cincinnati, I had red center fielder Eric Davis and shortstop Barry Larkin on those walls as well. Those were my heroes. I was in awe of them, I wanted to meet them, and I wanted to be like them. But with age, however, comes a bit more wisdom, and now my heroes seem to be not people who are famous, but people who give of themselves to help others, who look out for those who are less fortunate. And they're people who step up to help, even without being asked. And using my new and much improved qualification of what makes a hero, the employees of Feldman Chevrolet and Highland have been just the heroes that our Highland Elementary families never asked for, but that we have always needed. At the holiday, Feldman donated enough money to sponsor Christmas gifts for 70 students in our building. 70. And not just that, but they wanted to do more. They donated Christmas meals for 30 of our families. And they didn't stop there. They don't stop. Every time we thank them and we can't believe what they are doing for our families in need and our students, they always say, but one more thing. We want to just do one more thing. So Feldman has committed to quarterly donations to help our school and to help our families in need, beginning with spring break food boxes to be picked up at the end of this week. Mrs. Page, a third grade teacher in our building, spearheaded organizing these donations, and we would like you to hear just a little bit about what Feldman's generosity has meant to some of our families.
I'm shorter. So I've been teaching this district 24 years, and I have spent most of those finding donations at the holidays and just looking for anything we can get for our families that are truly in need. In the past years, we typically reach out to about 10 families, maybe helping about 15 students in our building through much community support, and we are very lucky for that. This year, I received a phone call that truly changed my life and Terry's. I was not aware that such heroes existed in the world. I had never had this experience. With the generosity of Feldman's business and the workers that are there, because a lot of this donation came from the workers at Feldman, we were able to change lives beyond my dreams. I didn't know this existed at Highland. The generosity of this Feldman family has touched my heart, and I'm forever grateful to know them and to call Terry my friend. We shared many tears. This is what we do together. We cry a lot. We shared many tears over the holidays. We just saying how thankful I was. We would both sit in rooms often at lunchtime crying over it. We're both very touched on how Feldman has helped our community. And I wanted to share, I got a lot of thank yous from our families, but I just wanted to share a couple tidbits just to kind of show really what they meant. So I have just 3 different families that I kind of pulled some thank yous from. One of them said, I just wanted to thank you again for your help. I really appreciate everything, and I'm so grateful for your help. I hope you and your family enjoy the holidays and have a really great break. Another one said, thank you for reaching out. And if you could tell them thank you from the bottom of my heart, thank you for their kindness. Oh, and the baby loves the bouncer. In the last family, we have helped for a few years, and her email went on and on and on, so I just picked out a little point of it, but I think it really shows the rest of us the need that is in our community. She said, I do appreciate all you've done. I sometimes find it hard to be humbled all the time. I truly am a proud person and sometimes feel it is unfair the cards that people get dealt. I know when I hear others, I think, really, maybe I am truly blessed. I just pray someday life gets easier for all of us. The things they are doing for us are truly a true blessing from my heart. So I think that's just a great way to remind us all how amazing we feel. Thank you.
Great. And Terry, at this time, I would like to call you up. Oh, sorry. And as you have just heard, your kindness and your generosity has been felt deeply by our students, our families, and especially our staff. So I don't want to grow up to be like Michael Jordan or Barry Larkin anymore. I hope that I can grow up to be just like you and to be as giving and kind as you are. So for your selfless giving, your generous spirit, we honor you tonight and your colleagues as our Huron Valley heroes.
Thank you very much.
On behalf of the board, Michelle Ryan would just like to give you something short.
Michelle.
This is like so emotional.
It
I'm
is.
honored to be able to give you this award on behalf of the school board. We would like to thank Feldman Chevrolet for all you do for our students. It's a wonderful example of inspiring and building futures one student at a time.
It's great.
So we have this award for you. It says Huron Valley Heroes bestowed this day to honor Feldman Chevrolet for outstanding representation of Huron Valley schools.
That's
And
great.
So I'm going to give you a
Oh,
hug.
good.
Oh my
Great.
God.
Thank you.
Wow.
We're just beginning, so it's going to continue on for years. So, and it's extra special because I went to elementary school, kindergarten through 6th grade at Highland Elementary. So it's extra special. Yeah.
All right,
Thank
and
you.
Terry, we have one more thing for you. If you could go out there. And then all of our staff. All of our school students.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. And thank you to the Highland team, and certainly thank you to Feldman Chevy. Just another example of why this community is so incredibly special. The relationships that we have throughout just make this place a very special place. With that, if there are no questions from the board, we're going to move on to the next agenda item. So next up, I'd like to invite the soon-to-be proud principal of Lakeland High School, Miss Libby Held.
Wow, that's a tough act to follow. I just told her I'm glad I get my car serviced through Feldman Chevrolet. Their business means more to me now than ever. Well, good evening. I'm Libby Held. Currently, I'm the assistant principal at Lakeland High School. Tonight, I would like to highlight our CTE, our career and technical education curriculum. On our slideshow that we have, I'm sharing pictures of Lakeland's recent career fair that we held last Wednesday, where over 100 community members talked to our students, particularly our juniors, about different career opportunities. From automotive to medical to business to fashion to construction, there was a plethora of different opportunities for students to explore. They even could hold a snake if they wanted to. I didn't get anywhere close to it. So to start, I would like to share a story with you that Mrs. Rubin is our Lakeland business and marketing teacher. She shared this story with us today. Last Friday, a former Lakeland 2013 graduate, Peter Rudofsky, he is now a special agent for the state and local education department. He was pictured in a social media post as he presented GPS data provided by GM in the Alex Murdaugh trial, a trial that has gained national media attention. When Ms. Rubin congratulated him, Rudolph's response was, and I quote, "I owe everything to DECA. It taught me how to present and to be confident in front of people. I owe it all to you, Rubin." 10 years later, Rudofsky still remembers and credits his presentation skills to the experience he had in Mrs. Rubin's business classes and her passion in preparing her students to compete globally within DECA. I think that speaks volumes about our teachers as well as their CTE program. Tonight, I have with us 7 Lakeland students. These students are equally as passionate about the CT classes they are currently taking and have taken. I believe you will find these students exhibit the same confidence that Rudofsky started developing when he was in high school. Currently, Lakeland offers over 20 CTE classes in the field of business, arts and technology, computer science, leadership, school to work, and engineering. Our engineering program, in fact, today just received state recognition and accreditation. Big win for us. Innovative programming is also a Huron Valley strategic plan goal. Expanding CTE opportunities is one of the objectives in order to accomplish our goal of creating a learning environment that maximizes instructional minutes and greater learning opportunities for all students. Tonight, I believe these seven students will illustrate why this goal is vital for the long-term success of our schools and our students. In addition, I hope it'll inspire you to take part in growing our CTE program. While I was talking to these students, 3 things resonated with me. Without prompting, these aspects were all a common thread in their stories. The first was the exposure factor. The exposure to these CTE classes opened up experiences and opportunities for further education and experiences that they did not know existed in their standard Common Core classes. Yes, they all realized that they needed the foundational math and science and reading and problem-solving skills. But the skills that they learned beyond their core academic curriculum was something that was a surprise to them. The second is new perspectives. The choice and voice that they were awarded in these CTE courses allowed them to find their inner strengths and reach beyond their comfort zone that they didn't know they could do. So really gaining their confidence. And their last one that I saw was passion. Their teachers have passions for these areas, and they are eager to guide their students to discover their own passion. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first student, Senior Mahana Malmeyer.
Hello, as Ms. Hales said, my name is Mahana Galmer, and I'm a senior at Lakeland High School. I'm currently planning attending Michigan Technological University in the fall for computer engineering. At Lakeland, we have 2 computer science classes, and I've taken both of them. There's Computer Science A, which is Java-based, and Computer Science Principles, which is more the basic one. And I kind of took the classes in reverse, but that's the only way it fit into my schedule. And so there were a couple of things that I wanted to highlight about these courses. And the first is that they offer great exposure because both courses made it possible to explore the world of computer science at a manageable level without overwhelming newcomers like myself. The instructors, Mr. Perry and Mr. Labutte, are great teachers that meet each student at their individual level. And it was through this exposure that I was able to decide that computer engineering was my major that I wanted to go into. Another important aspect of the computer science courses is that it works to introduce new mindsets that have yet to be developed or applied in a career technological setting. The first thing you learn in computer science is to create a new, logical, and analytical mindset that helps you to strengthen your problem-solving skills. And this is different because of the 12 APs that I have taken in my high school career, these 2 computer science classes have challenged me in a way that no others have. While the others have a foundation that they build upon, these computer science classes act as that foundation for the subject. For example, in AP Literature, there are skills that have been built upon since middle school, but these classes don't have anything to be based upon. In fact, I'm hoping to take these foundational skills that I've learned from these classes into college, where I'll be using them to help with the harder ones. And finally, these courses have many projects, which introduce and strengthen leadership and team building skills. Whether it's debugging code for a friend or partnering up to make a project, I'm constantly working with my peers. And I'm hoping to take this skill and apply it to my schooling, where I'm hoping to partake in the Enterprise Project at Michigan Tech, which is a multi-year-long project that incorporates a variety of students from different majors. And in these projects, you're partnered with a company and you work to solve a real-world challenge. And so I recommend this class to any student who maybe not even wants to go into computer science, but just wants to understand a little bit more about it. Because obviously, as seen from where I'm going in my life and my major, these classes have the ability to change lives. Thank you.
Next, I'm going to welcome seniors David Laura and Andrew Turnquest, who's going to speak about video production and broadcasting.
Hello, everyone. So as Ms. Held said, I'm David Laura, and this is Andrew Turnquest. And before we kind of get into what video production really is at Lakeland, I kind of want to talk about my journey with how I got interested in video. So 2020-2021 school year, I had just joined HVS. I had moved here from North Carolina. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So I just was like, all right, I'm going to take a video class. This looks interesting. I took it, and Mr. Orlando, one of the best teachers I've ever had, very influential. He pretty much kind of made a path for me to realize, oh, this is something like that I want to do for a career. So I took advanced video after I took basic video. That was last year. It was an amazing class. And I'm still doing it this semester. And then last year, after advanced video, I got a job at HVS TV. I'm an intern there still to this day. And then also marketing. That's another class I took last year and during 2020-2021 school year. That is also a very influential CTE course that has helped me a lot. It's helped me build confidence for going out and having to ask people questions, interview them for video projects. And I just think that really like the CTE courses here at Lakeland are very influential to me and to whoever wants to take them. So
yeah, and to hit on that a little bit, let me adjust this a little bit taller. But if you guys don't already know, I'm a big sports kind of guy, and I really had no clue what I wanted to do after high school. Of course, I want to play basketball in college. Mr. Orlando has done a great job getting me involved. Something I'm not very good at is public speaking, and this class has really got me to get out of my comfort zone and go to other classes. For instance, we have senior to freshman advice, and that got me to come out of my comfort zone a lot. So I think that really helped me. And I think really video is something that I want to do in college to study, especially sports broadcasting. So he's definitely done a great job getting me there.
Thank you.
And I shared a link in our presentation to David and Andrew have started a podcast for Lakeland High School that has been if you listen to the first one and even 4 episodes now, just how they have grown. Every single week that they produce one, you can hear their confidence building. They are getting more comfortable. They are even inviting people. I believe Mr. Wiseman and Dr. Salah, you guys are going to be slated for soon. So stay tuned. Okay, switching gears to our graphic arts, I'd like to introduce Kara Cottingham and Carter Thompson.
Good afternoon. My name is Carter Thompson, and I'm a junior at Lakeland High School. I've taken both the Graphic Arts 1 and 2 classes taught by Ms. Mack. These classes have taught me to have a strong perspective and a strong work ethic. These skills can be applied to any job calling for a lot of communication and problem solving. For example, in healthcare and auto mechanics, and attention to detail is important in engineering and construction jobs. Graphic arts has taught me perspective through problem solving, and that my assignments would have to fit specific requirements, and I would use the perspective of what the client would want designed and my perspective and how I can use creativity and my ideas to construct my vision. Currently, I wish to pursue a career in welding, and taking graphic arts has helped me build an attention to detail. In graphic arts, I would have some complex projects that need a careful approach with a high attention to detail to make something visually appealing. And that transfers over to welding, how I'll use that precision and detail to make an appealing result. I would recommend CTE classes to other students because other than developing these skills greater than in core classes, it is a great experience to explore real careers and achieve more out of your school experience within school. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Kara Cottingham. I am currently a proud senior at Lakeland High School. I took Graphic Arts 1 and 2, and I enjoyed the entire time of it. Miss Mack recommended me for this, and I'm very excited and nervous. Bear with me, sorry. I think that CTE, the CTA program, Graphic Arts, has helped me personally because my dream when I was a child was to be an animator for Disney. And taking this course has taught me to express myself creatively and listen to other people's thoughts and take constructive criticism, et cetera, et cetera. And I will use this to become a designer for businesses. For example, I created a logo for my dad's business and my other dad's business. If I had a card, I would give it to you, but I don't. And I like this program because I like to think creatively and I like to express myself however I feel free. And this program can let anyone do that if you so choose. And in the future, I would like to go to college for graphic arts to better my skills and have a better chance of finding a job at Disney. And I will recommend this program for anyone who's thinking about doing anything creative because, like Carter said before, you can pay attention to detail, and like how I said, you can express yourself creatively and have a new opening and a new eye on how you perceive things. Thank you.
And last but not least, I would like to welcome juniors Aaron Vieira and Nick Porter, who recently returned from competing in the statewide DECA tournament.
Hello, I'm Nick Porter, a junior at Lakeland High School. So far, I've taken Marketing 1 and 2, and I plan to be involved in the school store next year. Few teachers love everything about the subjects that they teach. Whether the math teachers just like their proofs, the English teachers are tired of the repetition of Romeo and Juliet, or the biology teachers and the genetics. Though at Lakeland, it's though our CTE teachers love everything about the topics we are being taught. Their level of dedication to the program and us, the students, going above and beyond to prepare aspiring students for their future. For example, our CTE teachers just gave us the opportunity to learn about new careers at our Career Development Day last Wednesday. These CTE courses allow students the opportunity to participate in DECA.
DECA prepares emerging leaders in the fields of marketing, hospitality, finance, and management. Hi, I'm Aaron Vieira, and I'm a junior at Lakeland High School. I've taken Marketing 1 and 2 in sports and entertainment marketing, and I've worked at the school store. I'm now a teacher cadet for Miss Rubin and continue to work in the school store daily. Overall, Lakeland students who participate in DECA love their experiences and learn many new skills in the business world. DECA allows students to be creative and potentially change businesses. Depending on the event that they choose, they can interact with different fields just such as marketing, finance, hospitality, and management. DECA members have the chance to travel the state and even the country, conversing with colleges, business officials, and the other DECA members. We thank you for your time and hope you learned a little bit more about the CTE program and DECA at Lakeland High School.
Do you have any questions for our presenters?
Yes, Ms. Pastana?
So any or all of you can answer this. How did you know that you wanted to take the certain classes? Did you have a teacher that recruited you? Did you talk to an older student? How did you know that that was going to be a good class for you to take?
So previously, before I moved here, I had been working on stop motion videos. I don't know if all of you know what that is, but it's kind of like, so you put like a object and then you take a photo and then you have to move it again. That's kind of what got me interested in video, because I just found that something very interesting. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into it, and what made me choose to take basic video at Lakeland.
So you decided on your own. You didn't have a teacher recruit you,
Yeah.
like Mr. Rolando, or somebody didn't say, hey, why don't you try this class?
Yeah, I would definitely say that it was mostly me, but Mr. Rolando he's a great teacher, and he kind of pushed me to take advanced video and really kind of like push myself to like be the best person I can like for video. So, and I really think like if I hadn't had him as a teacher, I don't think I would have an internship at HVS TV and be interested in video. So
Excellent. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks.
For my experience joining the CTE program, I feel that when we were in middle school, we had a great opportunity. The CTE program was presented to us as we visited Lakeland High School, and when our teachers kind of presented it to us and told us all the opportunities that Lakeland High School will provide for us. And then I also feel I had some neighbors that recommended the courses to me, though I've always been interested in the business field. So I feel like it's a good combination of both.
Kara again. I decided to take graphic arts because my father actually got me into the Huron Valley program. I was supposed to go somewhere else, I think South Lyon, and he pushed me to come to Lakeland, so good on him. And my art teachers always persuaded me, gave me good criticism, et cetera, and made me believe in myself so I could go into graphic arts. And, And I decided to go into the classes that I took now because I took every other art class. And now I'm taking pottery. So I just wanted all the art programs that I could get, and digital art was one of them. And then I set my heart on that.
I'm glad that you listened to your father. Any other questions or comments? I think the CTE program really focuses on the 3 R's that we always talk about, and that's relevance, rigor, and it's obvious the relationships that each and every one of these students have made, not only with their peers, but with our outstanding teachers, is extraordinarily important. And I thank each and every one of you for that. Amy, do you have a comment?
I just really wanted to say thank you for coming and speaking to this very large group of people. I know that can be a daunting experience. I also apologize, Nick, for taking a picture of you, but I did send it to your dad. But I'm sure all of your parents are very proud of you because we are very proud of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And just to end, Ainsley Altermat, who is a senior at Lakeland, she just got awarded the Oakland Schools Career and Technical Education Award, where she received a scholarship for college as well, too. So thank you all.
Next on the agenda is superintendent's communication, but at this point in time, I'd like to take just a short recess. All of our presenters certainly can stay for the rest of the meeting. Dr. Salah will not be offended, though, prior to his superintendent's comments that you choose to leave. So we'll take a 2-minute recess.
Yeah, until.
We'll go ahead and get started again. Superintendent's communication.
I blame Ms. Grzymkowski. Those kids are just incredible. It just, as I was listening to our kiddos from Lakeland talk about their career technical education experience, I can't help but reflect on the fact that we are a AAA school district. You heard the arts mentioned, certainly heard academics. We know our we had hot robotics students here today. It's just incredible to see the multitude of ways with which that our students are engaged. And I just loved having so many elementary teachers in the audience too, because what's really neat about that is they invest so much in our kids up front. And then, our K-12 program just continues to grow upon that learning. So I know that had to be really neat for so many of our elementary teachers in the back, seeing that foundation that they've planted and just continuing to grow. It reminded me of a couple of experiences. This is March is reading month. I love March. I get a chance to get into so many classrooms and read to our students. And I think my new favorite book right now is the book with no pictures. It is a absolute hilarious book when you're in front of kindergarten, first, second graders. They laugh so hard And it's one of those books, like when you think about little ones and belly laughing and like rolling on the ground, they're just laughing so hard, and it makes me very happy. It's just a great aspect of the work of a superintendent. In the last 2 weeks, I've had one student ask me if I sleep in my suit, if I tap dance because I have fancy shoes on, and if I am Abraham Lincoln. So, pretty incredible. It's the best job ever.
And what was your answer to each one of those?
I was very honest. I answered yes. So I wanted to take a moment. You know, our Board of Education members, many of you probably do not know this, they are not compensated for the work that they do as board members. And I received a letter from the Michigan Association of School Boards. And I just wanted to take a minute and acknowledge a few of our board members that have reached some certain thresholds through MASB. Ms. Cotter, who's not here, has earned 2 awards, the Level 1 Certified Board Member Award and the Level 2 Award of Merit. It takes a lot of classes to get to those thresholds, and I know that board members are working really hard to complete those things. Ms. Dodd earned her Level 1 Certified Board Member Award. Oh, well, since then. Okay, and Level 2 Award of Merit. Congratulations, I did not know about that one. And Mr. Wiseman has earned a Level 4 Master Board Member Award, which means he takes a lot of classes. And I know our newest board members are taking a ton of classes as well, and they will, I'm sure, be added to these lists in the future. So thank you to our board for all the work and time that you put in and invest. Did you get one too?
And Denise received her Level 3. Yes.
Okay, well, it's not my fault. Congratulations to you as well, Ms. Pistana. Okay, so adding on to just some of the phenomenal things that are happening through our school district and in our community. I actually have a couple of videos I want to share this evening. The first one is of just an amazing story of one of our Milford High School students, Chloe Howard, and I'm not even going to say anymore. We're just going to play the video.
It's Sully here, and I'm really excited for the FanDuel Sportsbook show every Sunday night.
Was a rising star in the snowboarding world, but Chloe Howard's passion was put on hold when a fall on a Colorado slope left her fighting for her life. Doctors warned Chloe's loved ones that her prognosis was dire. Well, fast forward a year, and 7 Action News reporter Kim Russell shows us how the Milford teen is inspiring others.
I'm at Alpine Valley, the home slopes for the Milford High School snowboarding team. Just over a year ago, a passionate member of that team was told she would never snowboard here again. This is Chloe Howard just over a year ago, snowboarding in Colorado. Ranked number 2 at the time nationally among 15 and 16-year-olds, she went there to compete. Her mom at home in Michigan expected an update.
And I was watching Chloe's location on my phone, and I'm like, why isn't she texting me a picture?
Then Amanda Oliverio got a phone call. Chloe crashed on the slopes, going so fast her helmet did not prevent a traumatic brain injury. When she got to the hospital, Chloe was in a coma.
She may not walk or talk again, but you know, your daughter didn't die on that mountain that day, but she did die on the mountain that day. And that was tough.
The next day, this happened.
She actually opened her eyes and said, Mom.
The Milford High School snowboarding team sent Chloe well wishes as she began a long recovery. She had to relearn how to walk and talk.
I had a grade 3 diffusional axil brain injury with 33 microbrain bleeds and a 10% chance of being able to walk and talk again if I woke up.
While healing, Chloe heard about the odds against her, but still dared to dream.
I'll push as hard as I need to push to get better and be better. I'll do whatever it takes. I want to be on a snowboard.
This is Chloe competing this year. Call it a Milford miracle. Chloe and the Milford High School snowboarding team together won states.
I just hope that other people look at her and they're inspired by her story.
I look on the brighter side of things. I always look on the brighter side of things. And if something's hard at that time, I'll think, oh, it'll be so much better once I do it and once I'm able to do it. And so far with everything that I've done, when it was really hard, the outcome has been amazing.
Come on, Chloe.
Seeing if my doctors in Colorado could see me now, they'd be like, wow.
And Chloe says she is not done dreaming. Next year, during her senior year, she hopes to go to nationals. At Alpine Valley, Kim Russell, 7 Action News.
We hope to see her do it.
States. I mean, really just something special. So the next video I'd like to share is actually from Johnson Elementary, and it's called the Stronger Warrior Foundation Initiative.
Well, we all go through tough times, but we really can't forget those who risk it all every day to protect our country.
Yeah, really no thanks can ever be enough. CBS Detroit's Alicia Bergio introduces us to a local nonprofit, making sure the brave men and women fighting overseas have a little taste of home while they are so far away.
So you can get as creative as you want.
With the stroke of each paintbrush.
What side is your favorite so far? The top.
And their imagination running wild.
I'm mixing colors.
These students at Johnson Elementary in Milford Township are changing lives.
They did a fantastic job of painting the outside and really personalizing them.
The crates, part of a mission resupply program for a local nonprofit called the Stronger Warrior Foundation.
We send the crates overseas to deployed soldiers, and it really makes, their day when they get a package from a complete stranger. It's kind of like a personalized gift that they'll always have and they'll always remember.
Co-executive director Caitlin Abel says each crate is filled with a variety of items.
Do you guys want to write a letter to put inside your crate?
Like handwritten notes.
We wrote hello and thank you for keeping the earth safe.
Abel's family founded the organization in 2019. Since then, they sent 800 crates overseas to places like Syria. Her brother in the Army himself.
He's currently deployed in Syria, seeing firsthand what military members go through. He really, really wanted to help make a difference in their lives.
The nonprofit has even captured the attention of the Detroit Lions and Pistons, among other businesses and schools who constantly show their support through volunteering or donation.
We're fortunate, we're really lucky.
Johnson kindergarten teacher Sarah McPherson says her class has taken part in the mission twice and looks forward to helping each time.
Being able to get the kids involved in the community and be able to write letters to soldiers and be creative and paint the crates is something that's exciting so they can see firsthand what they get to experience and how they can help out.
For Abel and her family, it's much more than just giving back.
Really, our mission is if we can help as many people as we can that are in the military and make a difference for them because they truly serve and make a difference for us every day.
You just can't help but smile when you see that, right?
Yeah,
It's
fantastic.
adorable.
Hey, they're doing such a great job in the state. Are there any plans to maybe expand to other states?
That is the plan eventually, but right now they're just working on raising awareness.
Great community engagement aspect of our school district, and just I can't tell you, I'm just incredibly proud of the work that we do here, the relationships that we have, and I'm thankful to WXYZ and CBS for covering some positive stories. It's nice to see some positive out there. Two more items this evening that I'd like to touch on. One, high level, I want to touch on the professional learning day that we had recently, and the others, I want to touch on strategic plan. I got to tell you, it felt really good this past week to have our entire staff engaged in professional learning throughout the district. I will tell you, when I compare a year ago to today, it's like night and day in terms of the progress that we've made. I really feel like we're back to talking about teaching and learning, which felt really good. It felt really nice to walk in and hear our teachers engaged in conversations about literacy instruction and the utilization of data to help us drive decisions. A year ago, we were heavily focused on behavioral challenges, reacclimating our students to what it was like to be in school. And I'd say that was probably 90% of our conversation. We had pretty significant substitute teacher shortages. Not that is totally resolved, but it's better than it was a year ago, which makes it much more reasonable for us to be able to spend time and engage in professional learning. So with that, I wanted to ask Mr. Tavernier if he wouldn't mind just speaking to some of the specifics that we touched on during that day.
Yeah, it was a great day on Tuesday. Our buildings in the morning from 8 to 10:30 had an opportunity to just focus on some building-based professional learning. So each of our schools, all of our staff were in their home schools. We focus on our school improvement. That's just a continual improvement process, looking at building and district goals and measuring our progress towards meeting those goals. Our elementary buildings had an opportunity to spend some time talking about school safety. We actually had some drills at the elementary level with the new security systems in place. And then our professional learning communities. That's something we've talked about a lot here with the board, is a focus on professional learning communities and supporting our teachers having an opportunity to build their PLCs. And so there was time in the morning focused on that. At 10:30, all of our schools focused on collaborative inquiry. So that's another model that we're using to support our teachers in having collaborative discussions. And collaborative inquiry is really about a large problem of practice. It might be something like student engagement or motivation or behavior or other things. And so collaborative inquiry is something we've been rolling out this year. So we had time last Tuesday morning to really focus on that at all of our buildings. And then we had a break for travel and lunch, and everybody in the district traveled over to Lakeland High School. And we met at Lakeland in the afternoon, and that was really for our cohort time. We had a couple hours, 2.5 hours Tuesday afternoon where all of our teachers met in their cohorts. So cohorts are like all the third grade teachers that are together and all the fifth grade teachers are together, all of our art teachers, all of our high school science teachers. And so just to give you a little bit of an idea on some of the things that we talked about during cohort time, all of our elementary cohorts, junior kindergarten through fifth grade, had some time to talk about early literacy. So actually members of our teaching, learning, and technology team visited each of the cohort sessions and had an opportunity to share some background on our curriculum development process, just to make sure everybody has a good solid understanding of that. And then the other part of the afternoon was really cohort needs based. So it was each cohort has a cohort leader, cohort facilitator. They met a few weeks prior to develop their specific agenda items. So I'm looking just a couple examples. Third grade had an opportunity to spend some time focusing on math, the math expressions, fluency rubrics. They also spent some time talking about science curriculum and some clarifications with the new science standards. And they also looked at some of the MSTEP resources as we're preparing our students for taking the MSTEP here next month. So that was an example just for third grade. If I jump over to our middle school science team, they spent time Tuesday afternoon focusing on Illuminate, which is our data warehouse. So they were really drilling into looking at reports that are available to help them identify students that might need additional support in specific content areas within the science curriculum. They also looked at the eighth grade assessment, the science tests that we're using in eighth grade. So that was an opportunity for them that afternoon. And then just the last one I'll mention, our counselors had also they're a cohort, and so they had some time to meet. They were really looking at a lot of questions around dual enrollment as we're moving towards a lot of different options now with virtual and online. And so just looking at what the enrollment process looks like, what the transcript, how do those courses and completion of those courses, how are those reported on transcripts, and making sure that we're consistent across the district with those things. So that just gives you a little bit of a highlight on some of the topics, some of the things that our teachers and administrators are focusing on Tuesday. And I need to thank our principals. They put a lot of time into coordinating and making sure that these days are meaningful and useful for all of our staff. I also want to thank our cohort leaders. Each of the cohorts that met have teacher leaders that are, we call them cohort leaders, but they really step forward and take a leadership role supporting their cohorts to be sort of stay on task and make sure that the agenda again is meaningful, and then take notes and report back to our team. And then of course our teacher leaders and our TLT department are just phenomenal and really help coordinate all of that. So that gives you just a little bit of a background on what we did last Tuesday.
Thank you, John, and thank you for your leadership as well. There's just a tremendous amount of work that goes into preparation for those days, and I know you are heavily involved in those conversations. So, just wanted to give our listening audience and our community an idea of what happens on those days when we do not have children in the building. I can assure you our staff are very, very hard at work, and they are engaged in learning and thinking about how we can continue to make Huron Valley Schools the best in the state. So last but not least, I wanted to touch on the strategic plan. I've touched on this several times during my superintendent comments, and I wanted to touch on it again this evening. The work as it relates to moving forward with the strategic plan that was adopted in December of 2022, it continues to progress nicely. This past week, we had a district parent council meeting. For those of you who are not familiar, our district parent council meets probably 4 to 6 times a year. There are representatives from each of our buildings from the PTA or the PTO group. We provide a variety of updates to that group, and Ms. Pistana serves as the liaison on that committee, and I'm sure she'll report out a little bit regarding how that went this past week. One of the topics I touched on was the strategic plan. We've started and continue to communicate with our community as well as all of our employees regarding the strategic plan. It was a lengthy process that we followed involving 70 stakeholders. We've sent letters, videos, communications out at various venues. So I had a chance to attend a community roundtable in Highland. I was able to speak to the strategic plan with that group. I'm going to be meeting here with the Optimists pretty soon and have a chance to speak with them. So we'll continue to share information as it relates to the final product of this strategic plan. So the document I have here in front of me is the document that's essentially for public consumption. There's another a companion document that we use internally that has some timelines associated with it, and some additional action steps. What I want to touch on, that was touched on during the district parent council meeting, is the work already has started, and I'm already really pleased with the conversations that are beginning to unfold. So give a shout out to Terry Thompson and Jennifer Hollander for just getting the ball rolling with parentguidance.org. If you go to our website now, there is a tab that's titled Mental Health Resources. And if you select that tab, it takes you to a website with a plethora of resources for our parents and for our kids, for a litany of mental health supports, ranging with a wide variety of issues. And I would encourage you, if you're having any questions about how you can support your child with mental health or how you can support your family with mental health supports, that's aligned with our strategic plan, and this resource is just invaluable. Safety committee, the work, it continues hot and heavy this year. I really feel like safety has just been a huge focus for us throughout the course of this school year. And that work continues. You heard, I think, Ms. Rothler speak to at some point the fact that we're putting a safety committee together. And I know invitation has gone out to several folks that we've invited to be a part of that work. And I think Mr. Wiseman will be representing the Board of Education with that. So that aspect of the strategic plan continues to move forward. One area I wanted to touch on this evening. So for our listening audience, you can access this strategic plan document on our website. It's very clearly labeled under strategic plan. On page 8 of this document, we speak to the second goal, and I'm just going to take a moment and read a couple excerpts because I think it's important to highlight. Goal statement 2, resources and infrastructure. The Huron Valley Schools will maximize resources and infrastructure in order to maintain and attract HVS staff, enhance learning opportunities, and provide a wide array of support for our students. And that's really around how we support innovative programs, which is our first goal. Objective statement 2.1, the Huron Valley Schools will review and adopt a building utilization model that right-sizes infrastructure usage based upon student enrollment trends in order to enhance current instructional program offerings. So why did the Strategic Planning Committee come up with that as an objective statement? We provided this group of 70 individuals with a binder full of data points and documents that looked at historical data trends, that looked at bond cost and expenditures by building, that looked at age of our buildings and what projects had taken place when. There were a variety of topics. And so from those data points, these objective statements and implementation steps emerged. I just want to be clear that this strategic plan was not something that, for example, that I wrote by myself, sitting in a room, or that the COAT team established by ourselves. This was something that is a byproduct of months and months of work based upon data that was reviewed by that strategic plan and then ultimately adopted by the Board of Education. Couple of other important things to note here. Implementation will conduct an analysis of current building utilization across the Huron Valley Schools in order to determine whether consolidation, redistricting, grade reconfiguration, or any combination thereof should be implemented. Note, the committee specifically recommends a particular focus upon secondary level based upon current middle school and high school enrollment trends. So these are specific talking points that emerged from the Strategic Planning Committee. And one of the reasons I'm bringing this up this evening is because we are asking the board to consider approval, not at this meeting, but in April, approval of a consulting firm called Plant Moran Cressa. And that is based upon the recommendations of the Strategic Planning Committee. And they specifically name the utilization of a consulting firm in the action steps and timeline documents that we have as a companion to this. Objective statement 2.4, I also think is important to note for a listening audience that might be following along. That's on page 9 of the strategic plan document that you'll find online. The Huron Valley Schools will attract and retain students and families to the Huron Valley Schools to the extent that factors outside of the district's control, including birth rates and aging senior population, are controllable. Implementation step. Offer higher quality programming, including the academics, arts, and athletics by right-sizing buildings and concentrating staff expertise across fewer physical spaces. So basically what that means is that the committee looked at a variety of data points regarding our current staffing. And because we are spread across more buildings, it's more difficult for us to hire a full-time FTE and offer some of the courses that we otherwise would be able to offer if we are more concentrated into fewer physical plants. And so that's where that conversation came from. Note, the committee noted challenges of current staff being spread across multiple buildings, which prevents the district from offering certain opportunities. The committee recognizes additional resources may be needed to support the arts and athletics in order to keep up with surrounding districts. And then there was a specific note here, investigate and consider aligning JK-12 building paths as feeders with east side of the community feeding to Lakeland High School and west side of the community feeding to Milford High School. These are not these are not decisions that have been made. I just want to be clear on that. These are the findings of the strategic planning committee that they've asked the district to review and consider in consultation with a third party that can help us with this kind of work. So for example, Plant Moran Cressa has the ability to look at current construction trends in our specific communities. They have the ability to map out our population density by street across every one of our subdivisions, roads, and communities in order to determine what our population will look like in 5 years from now and 10 years from now. We don't have access to that kind of information on our own as a school district. So that's just one example of why we are talking about the utilization of a consulting firm to help us with some of these decisions as we move forward. So I'm going to do this periodically, just provide updates to our community regarding the strategic plan as we continue to move forward. I guess the last piece I'll touch on is the most important aspect of this building utilization component is so that we can continue to offer really competitive, innovative programs. And so we have to, while we're looking at building utilization, we have to understand what that will allow us to do from an innovative programming perspective. From expansion to career technical education to looking more creatively at our instructional minutes and how we might be able to carve time out for enrichment and intervention, to looking at additional advanced placement course offerings, which I know I've heard from some of our students and one who's sitting in the audience today, looking at how we can provide those opportunities for our students. It's all tied together. Every decision has an impact on the other decisions. And so really understanding that's important. That was kind of a long superintendent segment of comments, but I am finally done.
Thank you very much. Very informative. Does anybody have any brief questions of Dr. Slott this moment? I appreciate your time explaining this. This is something that each of us as a Board of Education member and a member of our community have been involved in, excuse me, and have had opportunities to talk to you and other COPE members, and we'll continue having those conversations. And as we keep on moving forward, we recognize that both of those objectives as it relates to innovative programming and our facility studies go hand in glove and will be addressed simultaneously. So I appreciate your time. Next, excuse me, we have student leadership. Alexis, I believe it's your turn. Maybe Dr. Sly, you'd like to introduce our student leader?
I think you just did that.
Well, I thought maybe you had more detail.
Good evening. My name is Alexis Cornett, and I am the Milford High School student representative and the student leader who is speaking to you today. Just to kind of reiterate what student leaders do, I have been the class president for Milford High School's class of 2023 for the past 3 years, and I am the current Milford High School Student Council president. So what we get to do, me alongside 3 other students from across the district, we get to attend the TLT committee meetings, and we also get to speak before the board and before the community at events like these, just to kind of bring in the student perspective from the high schools while also learning about what the board does and the superintendent as well to kind of build this collaboration for students. So today I wanted to highlight some of the achievements at Milford High School from the past couple of months involving unifying students across buildings. Milford representatives across the school hosted a tour for 8th graders this month in hopes of welcoming our incoming freshmen, the class of 2027. First, the 8th graders got to meet with their counselors to discuss scheduling and the differences that some might see between middle school and high school classes. They also received information about getting involved in extracurricular activities and spent the day with a Milford leadership student to begin building that excitement and relationship for next year. Some of the activities they might have heard from were our DECA students, newspaper, sports like swim and dive, football, basketball. All of those things came directly from students at Milford, so that way they got kind of the perspective that they could see themselves for the next 4 years. Even though I am a senior this year, I think it's really pivotal to spread the high school outreach to the next generation of Mavericks. Specifically, my younger sister, she is going to be an incoming freshman at Milford next year. And I remember when I took my 8th grade tour, I was always very excited to come to high school. But there's a lot of new things that you don't really know when you're coming from that middle school perspective, whether that be an advanced placement course that you can take for the first time or a club that you've never been involved in before. A lot of these things come from our high school students right to our middle schoolers. So when we're finding ways to get involved, we can look at that direct connection from students to students. Next, I just wanted to highlight the record-breaking Milford boys basketball season. They won both the league and conference titles this year. And if anyone was able to attend some of the games this season, they might have noticed not only the incredible talent of the Milford boys team, but also that of the Milford Unified basketball team. The Unified team, which consists of both general education and special education students, was created last year by students in Milford's leadership class. In its second year this year, the team expanded its opportunities immensely by playing schools like Walled Lake Central, Walled Lake Western, and Brighton. It is very clear that this is an extraordinary basketball team. One game in particular stands out in my mind. One expects the natural rivalry of a Milford-Lakeland basketball game. But it was truly astounding to see the support from both schools in cheering on the Unified team. It is something I brought before the TLT committee in hopes that this type of program can expand beyond basketball and Milford throughout the district. Ultimately, this team represents the importance of respect and celebrating the uniqueness of all students. Whether it be current students or new faces, sports or STEM, Milford is continually innovating and growing as a student body. Thank you for having me today, and I look forward to sharing more about Milford in the coming months. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have association comments.
What an exciting evening today. So much to share. Good evening. As you heard earlier tonight, the Huron Valley Education Foundation grants were awarded to our educators earlier this year. I am fortunate to sit on the HVEF board and appreciate the dedication of our board members and the generous donors whose contributions enable our educators to receive these grants each year. Tonight, I would like to share a few things from some of our educators who received these grants. It's important that you hear from them so you can fully understand the impact of these grants and what they have on the classrooms and the students who are so fortunate to receive them. We've been talking a lot about career readiness tonight. So as career readiness and exploration has become such a significant focus in our high schools, Laura Smith's Forensic Science Lab Improvement Grant fits right in. The equipment she was able to purchase with the grant allows her students a more hands-on approach to processing forensic evidence in order to increase knowledge of this career path. Can you imagine in high school, you get to analyze forensic evidence? Ms. Smith shared with me, and I quote, "I was excited to see how the students would react to having more hands-on activities. So far, it has been so positive. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this program. I am excited to see how I can grow my class, and the grant is a big step in achieving this." Continuing on with our science theme, Caitlin Mueller was also searching for a way for her students to have hands-on experiences to better understand AP psychology. As biology is an integral part of psychology, through the HVEF grant, she was able to purchase a 3D model of the brain. This model now allows her students to have a better understanding of the location and function and interconnectedness of the different parts of the brain. Ms. Mueller shared that having a model of the brain that students can interact with will enhance their learning and will be exceptionally helpful for students who prefer that visual and hands-on approach. It's all about STEM tonight. Stacy Rennie, the technology teacher at Country Oaks, received a grant this year called Cool Kids Coding. Through the grant, Ms. Rennie purchased 6 additional Wonder Workshop Dash coding robots for her tech lab. These robots are not only incredibly fun for students, but they also increase problem-solving skills and computational thinking. Ms. Rennie remarked that the best part about receiving the HVF grant was the look on the students' faces when they realized they had their very own robot that they got to program. HVF grants not only support our classrooms, but give additional opportunities to our after-school clubs. Lori Gleason, who was here earlier, was highlighted with the Hot Robotics team. She also received a grant. Her grant would allow their Hot Robotics to purchase Milwaukee packouts, fasteners, and other materials that improve the organizational of the Hot Team's pit. It's now much easier for students to find what they need when they need it. And given that, on March 4th, the Hot Team won the Milford District Tournament and the Engineering Inspiration Award, we can say that that grant was very successful. It's evident they're able to work well as a team and take advantage of the new materials. And finally, I want to share the excitement of the grant received by the Adult Transition Services at Milford High School. Paige Riley, Milford psychologist, applied for a grant called Dress for Success in the ATS. Our adult transition young adults are ages 18 to 26, with the goals of working towards functional independence and social skills interactions. This year, the young adults and our ATS staff, they're thrilled to be able to return to these vocational work sites because for the past 3 years, everything's been on hold because of the pandemic. This grant funds uniform shirts so the students can have a sense of being on the job as they learn responsibilities and skills needed to work towards functional independence. The grants and the shirts energize their young adults, and Ms. Riley expressed that she's so grateful for the support of the HVF for the adult student population because it's a population that is sometimes overlooked. So thank you to our HVS, our Huron Valley Education Foundation, for providing so many grants to our educators through the years and enhancing the experiences of thousands of students. Thank you.
Next, board correspondence. Secretary Pestana.
No correspondence tonight.
Thank you. Treasurer's report. Ms. Cotter is not here. Amy, do you have any treasurer's report, or Jeffrey this time? No? All right, reports from board committees. First is the executive committee. We met on March 15th, 2023 at the Huron Valley Schools Administration Building. The meeting was called to order at 1 p.m. Present were myself, along with Member Dodd, Member Pestana, and Dr. Salah. There were no public comments. We discussed tonight's agenda at that point in time. Safety and security update was given to us by Dr. Salah, and we discussed some upcoming upgrades, considerations to door hardware at Lakewood Elementary, as well as the crosswalk at Oxbow Elementary, where, in fact, today, Dr. Salah, along with myself and Member Ryan, were able to take a look at and observe firsthand. He also shared the dates for the recon management safety visits that have been established and will begin shortly. Another agenda item was the safety liaison that's before us tonight. The committee discussed that under the revised school code section 380.1241, a school board must designate a liaison to work with the secondary safety contact in the Office of School Safety to identify model practices. We also updated had an update as it relates to strategic planning and also the HVPEA wage reopener. Dr. Salah shared the updated wage reopener that's before us tonight. There were no other items that were discussed. We adjourned at 3:45, and our next meeting is April 12th at 1 p.m. in the administrative offices. TLT committee.
It's me. TLT, we met on March 7th, meeting called to order at 3:32. Present were myself, Ms. Cotter, Mr. Dimmick, Mr. Tavernier, Dr. Salah, Mr. Lindberg, Dr. Nemeth, Mr. Wisnick, Ms. Cadell, and Maya from the IA, and Alexis from Milford High School. There was no public comment. We talked about regular agenda items. The first was intervention teams. Mr. Tavernier provided the overview of the district tiered intervention services, a multi-tiered system of support model, providing opportunities for success for every student. The model was outlined: Tier 1, core classroom instruction; Tier 2, targeted small group; Tier 3, intensive individual intervention, providing an umbrella of services and supports for all our students. We talked about the summer extension. Dr. Nemeth provided an overview of the summer programming, which will be called Summer Extension. Funding for this program has restrictions for students with learning loss. Programming will be offered to K-5 students who have gaps in reading and math. The summer will be structured as a 6-week program divided into 2 3-week sessions. Enrollment invitations will be sent to students who have been identified who need targeted instructional support in April. Student leadership, Maya talked about her excitement with the iOS, the Tri-Campus Dodgeball Tournament that they held on 3/7 at Lakeland. Alexis shared about her involvement in the Milford High School. She talked about it tonight, unified basketball team. And everybody talked about the fun and positive experience. Safety and security, Dr. Salah gave an update regarding the security audit provided last year by Recon Management, which is returning to the district for post-assessment audits. These continuing visits will happen at buildings to ensure policies and procedures are being implemented. Mr. Wisnick is working with all the buildings in the district regarding the new emergency notification system, including training for office staff. Other were consent agenda items. The first is the Skyward Student Information System. This provides services to the district, which includes student management, state reporting, food services, student services, family access notification, and other services. It is recommended a renewal of the 3-year contract, providing a 10% discount over a year-to-year contract pricing. Cost is based on per student licensing fees for each module. It was supported by the committee for approval and for this exhibit to appear on tonight's cassette agenda. Number 2 is the fiber optic contract. The district owns a private fiber network providing wide area network services to all district buildings. A 3-year maintenance agreement was sought through the E-rate bidding process. These expenses are eligible for rebates through the federal E-rate program. In addition, it was recommended approval for the awarded vendor to provide emergency repair and misdig location services as part of this award. It was supported by the committee for approval and for this exhibit to appear on tonight's consent agenda. We adjourned at 4:46, and our next meeting is, I believe, April 3rd.
Thank you very much. Finance and Operations, Amy?
Finance and Operations met at 9 a.m. on March 15th at the admin building. Present were Mr. Wiseman, myself, Ms. Pistana, Dr. Salah, Mr. Van Gotham, Mr. Reby, Ms. Kerrigan, Ms. Loso, Ms. Maruskin, Cody Farber from Clark Construction, and Bill Weinrock from TMP. We didn't have any public comment. We didn't have any consent agenda items for this evening or unfinished business. Our new business consisted of 3 items that we will read first tonight here, and we expect to vote on them on April 17th. The first is the purchasing policy 6320 language update, which I will let Jeffrey speak to when we get a little bit later in the evening. But that is about adjusting the thresholds for purchases. We have our building utilization engagement, which Dr. Salah has spoken of a little bit, with a contract with Plant Moran Cressa. We also had, that will be up for voting in April, is the Bogie Lake water main improvements. This is part of bringing water to the Lakeland campus. This is a large piece of our bond, and we will be looking at spending $1.8 million with T&M Asphalt Company with a 12% contingency in line with our other construction projects. So it's something that we will be discussing as well this evening. We also are asking that the board look tonight at the HVPEA wage reopener, where we are looking at our paraeducators' wages. And so we were asked that the board would vote on that this evening. The bid pack 10, transportation bus wash replacement equipment. The one bid was received and post-bid meeting was held on the 14th of March. This will be discussed further with COAT and brought to our next finance and operations meeting. In addition, we received a safety and security update. As you are more than likely aware, Milford High School and Lakeland High School, safe and secure entrances have already begun to have some work done. And we are also following up with the visits from Recon Management. There is a heavy focus at Lakewood Elementary, with especially with the leadership transition. Our communication has been going very well, and it continues to be a priority for us. Other bond issues are a bid back 4 and 5. Our update from Clark Construction is we are in the home stretch. Just a few more items on our punch list should be completed at spring break. Bid pack 8 submittals have been returned, and they're releasing those for order. I believe bid pack 8 is doors and locking systems. Bid pack 9 is all of the construction that's happening at our high schools. We are continuing, or they are continuing, to meet with our principals on a weekly basis and creating communicator reports. Right now, Lakeland has their LGI renovations underway, and Milford High School has the 600 wing underway. Actually, I think it started today. Bid pack 10, which is the bus wash, we did receive that bid, and we are having conversations. EV program. The Hot Robotics team spoke with Mr. Van Gotham, and we expect to have them at our next finance and operations meeting to talk about how we can bring chargers to Huron Valley. Ms. Loso gave us an update on Rec and Ed, and we reviewed their financials as well as their program offerings, as well as what we expect to see in the future. The committee asked great questions and was very appreciative of all the efforts that Ms. Loso and her staff put in to making our community well-rounded. General fund budget to actual. The committee reviewed the general fund budget actuals as of January 31st. This is as Mr. Van Gotham said, this is a document that is constantly changing. We had no concerns at this time. Future items for discussion, TMP brought up that we have some other projects that are in the works, things like boilers and some additional safety. Mr. Van Gotham spoke of our S&P rating, which should be coming out in the next month or so. We're very excited about that. And he also reported that the financial recap of our grants that we received, and they were better than expected. And that was very good news. We adjourned at 10:55, just short of 2 hours, which is what I was tasked with, and we did it. Our next meeting is April 12th.
That was a lot to cover in less than 2 hours.
It was.
You did a fine job.
Thank you, Mr. Wiseman.
Next, communication, marketing, and legislature.
We have not met since the last meeting. You're welcome.
All right. With that, is public comments. At this time, we have public comments as it relates to agenda items. I do not have anything as it relates to agenda items. And that being said, I'm going to go ahead and move public comments as it relates to non-agenda items up to this portion of the meeting. I do have 2 citizens participation forms in front of me. As I talked about it earlier in the meeting, this is a time for our community members to speak and to make comment to the board. It's not a time for conversations, but it is a time for us to listen to you. And if it's appropriate, what we will do is then move it over to administration for a follow-up as it relates to any of those comments. With that being said, the first individuals that I'm going to bring up, and you have comments that are limited to 3 minutes, is Scott and Jacqueline Thorpe. Good evening.
Excuse me. Can you help me with the mic, please? Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll start over. Good evening. I'm Scott, my wife Jacqueline Thorpe. We're current residents of Milford, proud parents of 2 daughters that graduated from Milford High. We're part of an adult swimming group called MAC, and we wanted to bring some comments forward today. We're not representing MAC here, but just we're representing ourselves as swimmers and residents. A couple weeks ago, we met with Amy at one of the Meet the Board members meetings, and she encouraged us to come and talk tonight. As a swim group and a community, we all regard our pools and fitness facilities as a great resource. And as such, it kind of bothers us a little bit, some of the maintenance that's kind of occurring, maintenance issues that we wanted to kind of just mention. It's hard to do this without sounding kind of like a downer, but I just want to just kind of present it in a positive way that says we feel it's important that we display the best possible facilities to all the community members that come, as well as we just had a Milford swim meet on Saturday. We had people came from all over the state and some from other states as well. So this is really our showcase for all the swimming community. And what we're probably bringing to your attention, you may or may not know, and if there's another way to present these to maintenance, forgive me, but I don't know how to do that. But we have issues like the entrance to one of the lane pools, the door hardware is broken, so that the door won't automatically close. But there's a little sign on the door that says, please close the door, for obvious reasons, to keep the heat in the building. So it doesn't seem like that would be a really challenging maintenance issue, but yet it remains that way for quite a long time. We see fluctuating water temperatures in the showers, not only in the showers, but also in the pool. And let me tell you, 74 degrees in the pool is pretty chilly. We deal with foul drain smells in the rec area pool when we walk in between the locker room and the pool. And we see that those rooms now, and I understand that there's a lot of history with regard to those rec pools, but now they're used as sort of like storage rooms and miscellaneous things kind of stored randomly within those. So that's what we're presenting forward to our outward community when they're walking through. So
Thank you very much for your comments. I appreciate your participation at our town community forum the other day. Amy and I had conversations, and I know we've moved those concerns on to Dr. Salah, who's working with his staff as relates to this.
Thank you.
You'll hear from Mr. Van Gotham. Jeffrey, if you can, he'll call you tomorrow, have a conversation with you just about anything else.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Second is Michelle. There you are.
Thank you for the opportunity to address the board tonight. My name is Michelle Hojanacki. I've been a teacher with Huron Valley Schools since 1993, and I'm currently working at Lakewood Elementary, third grade teacher. And as was mentioned here tonight, Lakewood is going through a leadership transfer, and we've had some unique problems with that and challenges, as you can imagine. And I want to recognize that as a staff, that our concerns have been heard and supports have been put into place and continue to be reviewed. And I have great appreciation for Jennifer Hollander, Dr. Salah, Marty Lindberg, John Traverner, and Jennifer Bjorkman, who are visible, available, listening, working with us on solutions, revisiting the school, what can we do, and ever so present. When we work this way together, I have not seen this. Through my career, I've been through 4 leadership transfers, and I've never seen this kind of support. And when staff feels heard, We do the best for the building, the best for our children, the best all the way around. And I want to say we're getting it right this time. We're getting it right. And thank you from all of us for letting us be heard and getting us through. April is coming soon with our new leader. So thank you.
Thank you. We definitely are stronger together, aren't we? Next, consent agenda. We have items A1 through A5. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
I'll move to approve consent and agenda items A through E as presented.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Second by Member Ryan. Is there any comments or questions as it relates to any of these items? They're routine items. I would ask for just I know they're consent agendas. I know the TLT went over them and have recommended A4 and A5, which is the Skyward student and the fiber maintenance. This is really a renewal of what we already have in place, but I think it would be important maybe Mr. Tavernier, with your permission, Dr. Slot, could spend just a couple minutes going over that.
Yeah, there were a couple questions that came up regarding both of these exhibits, so I'm happy to just to review. So Skyward is our student management system. I think many people are familiar, certainly our students and parents are familiar with using and accessing Skyward on the family access side, but it's really much more than just our family access. It's really our student management system. It provides us support for all of our state reporting. We also utilize the food service module, so all of our food service sales are run through that program, as well as our special education services. So just a couple questions on the change in pricing. Our prior contract, there was an increase in cost, as I think there is in just about everything these days. So the cost that's before you for Skyward, and I jump over to another screen here. I believe it was $10 and 52 cents. That includes all of those modules. That also includes a $1.05 discount for using a 3-year contract. Our prior contract was for $10.13 with a $1 discount for the 3-year commitment. And so that's just an update there on Skyward and the purpose there. One thing that we have implemented just recently was the integration with Google Classroom. That is something I know I have met with Jennifer Hollander, and she's got a big smile back there. I know all of our teachers are going to be real happy to know that that integration will be available for between Skyward and Google Classroom for posting of grades and assignments and so forth. That is a separate build. That integration is 25 cents per student. So that'll be billed annually, but that is not included in the exhibit tonight. That was a question that came forward. Regards to our fiber maintenance, so the district has a fiber plant. All of our schools are interconnected with a private fiber network. A couple of questions about this contract. What's being presented to you tonight is a cost estimate based on our prior usage. So we are able to receive fixed pricing for maintenance of our fiber plant. And the numbers, the dollar amounts are based on our average usage. With the number of district construction projects last few years, we've had a high number of MISDIG requests. So as we're doing construction, as you can think of all of our elementaries, obviously MISDIG is called. And by the way, if you're doing any digging on your property, please call Miss Dig 811 to allow us to mark our fiber and so that we can prevent a fiber break or a cut in communications. And so those numbers are just, again, based on what our past usage has been, and the Miss Dig has been pretty high, the past few years because of construction. But we do pay for services rendered. So over and under on that will be variable. As we have less construction going on, we anticipate those costs will go down, but we are asking for a contingency of 12%. That's typical with our other construction projects. The other thing was just on the MISDIG contract itself. So the vendor was providing an option for us to contract with them to manage our MISDIG tickets. That's actually done through the county. Oakland Schools manages our MISDIG tickets, and then they respond on our behalf. Sometimes we're able to mark them ourselves, but if we need support, we have this contractor is available for us as well. So I think that covered most of the questions that were raised. And so while these are routine, it's actually only once every 3 years with these. So I was happy to review those this evening.
Any other questions regarding those two items? Both of them are part of the Oakland Schools Consortium, is that correct? Or was one of them?
No, so the MISDIG contract is part of our
I'm talking
Oakland
like
Schools
Skyward.
Consortium.
Skyward is not a standalone system that just Huron Valley uses. It's something
There are 6 student management systems that are approved in the state of Michigan, and Skyward is one of them. So Oakland Schools does support all of those as we work through our state reporting and all that. They have another system that they manage in-house that's separate from Skyward. It's a different system.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no other questions, we have a motion and a second. Do we have a roll call, please, on consent agendas, items A1 through A5?
All right. Ms. Dodd?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Dimick?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Ms. Grzymkowski?
Yes.
And Mr. Wiseman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. There is no unfinished business before us tonight. Under new business, Safety Liaison, Exhibit B, Dr. Salah.
Thank you, Mr. Wiseman. So I'm not asking for approval this evening. However, I would like to share that the school code 380.1241 requires that a school board must designate a liaison to work with the Office of School Safety as well as the Michigan State Police. I am recommending that the board take action on April 17th to recognize Ms. Rothler as the school safety liaison. Frankly, Barb is really functioning in this capacity. And this is somewhat more of a formality as part of Barb's job description when she was hired. That was one of the elements of the work. And by approving her contract, I believe that we are covered, if you will. But I think to be fully transparent and to make sure that the entire school district knows and understands that Ms. Rothler serves as our school safety liaison, I think it's prudent for the board to take action on this one specific agenda item as opposed to it falling under another area, if you will. Any questions?
Seeing none, this will be presented back to the board for a vote at our next board meeting, correct?
Yep.
All right. Next is Purchasing Policy 6320, language update. Mr. Van Gogh,
please.
Yeah, so one of the, obviously the prominent roles and responsibilities of a school board is to establish board policy that, helps govern the overarching mission and vision of school districts, and obviously Huron Valley Schools actively participates in that. We had the ability over the calendar year 2022 to review and approve basically updated board policies in our partnership with Neola. In December, we made some revisions to specifically our purchasing policy. And again, for the April 17th board meeting, we're asking the board to revise the purchasing thresholds, which are made, which qualify under 3 different categories, are basically our best judgment, which is, we call them like micro purchases, the smaller dollar amounts. We're asking to bring that back to the policy that was approved really in the fall of 22. And then obviously the informal purchases or quotes at a slightly higher dollar amount. And then obviously the bid limits that's established by the state of Michigan for those that need to be bid. And so we're asking that the board take a look at this. And obviously if there's any questions or concerns between now and April 17th, bring those up. We will bring it back to executive as well as the finance and operations subcommittees in April before we take a vote on this.
And you've included in our board packet the entire purchasing policy 6320, but looking at this, the only thing that's highlighted is the competitive bidding, buyer's best judgment, and informal purchase. Those are the only 2 changes within this policy.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions? 2 weeks or April 16th for a vote, correct? If you have any questions, touch base with Mr. Van Gothen. Yes, Amy?
Mr. Van Gothen, can you explain the rationale for raising the limit and what that was based on?
Yeah, so when we received recommendations from Neola, again in calendar year 2022, their recommendation for basically what we would consider our smallest purchases was to take our $5,000, which was a really outdated dollar amount, and move it up to at least $10,000. And so when the board took action in the fall, a $10,000 amount was approved for those buyer's best judgment purchases. The policy that was brought to the board again in December for consideration was to take those back down to $5,000. We really feel, again, as an administration, again, with the board support, that really an amount closer to like $12,500 makes more sense for us. For the viewing community, I mean, we're a $125 million entity. And so when we have administrators or leaders who are making some of these purchases, we feel that $12,500 is reasonable for, purchases that they're making using their, again, buyer's best judgment. The state of Michigan obviously controls the bid limit, and that's actually increased every year. And so as a part of this request that we're making for the board to consider, is that when these bid limits increase on an annual basis by, whether it's CPI or by inflation, whatever it might be, is that we're able to increase these thresholds for buyer's best judgment as well as these informal purchases, because it allows our staff, essentially administrators and leaders who have the ability to purchase, to handle their business, more appropriately for 2023 versus, $5,000, which is, a dollar amount that might have been used 15 or 20 years ago. And so that's the rationale behind it.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? All right. Next is building utilization engagement. I know, Dr. Sly, you talked about it briefly.
Yep. So just a quick thank you. We've already had some questions from board members. We are working on some of those responses. As we work through this building utilization approval process, if there are any questions that are posed by the board, just know that we will report out all of those responses in board notes on that upcoming Friday. So that way, if Ms. Dodd proposes 4 questions, then Ms. Ryan has, the ability to know what questions were asked and what the responses were, so that everyone's on the same page in terms of responses. Just a couple of process things on this, and then Jeffrey, if you have anything to add, please feel free to do that. So this is a professional service. And for our listening audience who's out there, I think it's important to note that technically professional service does not have to come to the Board of Education for action. We do that as a school district because we think it's prudent and a best practice to make sure that the board knows when we're engaging a company in a large contract. But I think it's prudent for the community to know that while our response for proposal is not required, we did an RFP for this building utilization process, that there are 3 bids received. I placed at each of your areas today, just before the meeting started, a copy of those 3 vendors that submitted. One was Cooperative Strategies, one was MGT of American Consultant, one was Plant Moran Cressa. 2 of those bids are way more expensive than the one that we ultimately ended up interviewing, Plant Moran Cressa. Plant Moran Cressa is a state a company that is known for doing work in this space. They have had hundreds of contracts with local school districts around this exact type of work, and the other 2 were really more national type organizations, and so we think that's why they were so much higher. We did interview Plant Moran Cressa to talk specifically about the scope of our project, and we asked them to rebuild some of the assumptions that they made based upon that interview process. So that coupled with the questions that were asked, we'll follow up on those questions and ask for board consideration on April 17th. Jeffrey, is there anything additional that you'd like to add? I know you've had some conversations with them as well.
Yeah, no. So obviously the administrative team, along with Mr. Wiseman, which we appreciated his support in the conversation, and Mr. Weinrock here, who's here from TMP architecture. So we actually, as Dr. Ursula alluded to, asked them some questions. They revised the terms. They have provided us an engagement letter, which is what we utilize to have professional services within the district, very similar to if we had a legal agreement or even like our annual audit. So a very standard engagement letter, but we have had several questions that were prompted over the weekend by several board members. So we're going to make sure that those questions are answered. If a follow-up meeting needs to take place with the professional service provider, they're happy to speak with us. And I know that, we want to have this discussion and sign April. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, obviously, between now and the rest of this calendar year. And I want to get started on that as soon as possible. So thank you.
Any other questions, comments? I do know that there has been a number of questions that have been raised. I appreciate the fact that you're going to put them all together so that the entire board has the questions, has the answers, and can reach out. This is an important engagement as we move forward as part of our strategic plan. They're going to be looking at our facilities and our demographics and assist us. And as I said before, this is part of the process. And as we move forward, we'll be looking at what data they give us, and we'll be working with the community and various committees hand in glove with our innovative programming so that we have a good match as it relates to that. So please, our board is not shy to ask questions. So please continue to ask those questions. Jeffrey will do his darndest to give us the answers and to clarify them. So I appreciate your time. Next is the HVPEA wage reopener. There is a motion on the table. Normally under new business, we do not have a motion for approval, but I believe at the last board meeting, we also had something similar to this when we approved the food service contracts. There's a rationale behind that because the group has concurred with the proposal, in essence have ratified it, and they're looking for direction from the Board of Education to ratify this so that the wage reopener can be approved and move forward. So Dr. Slop, before we do a motion, why don't you go through more detail?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Wiseman. So we had this on both the Finance and Operations agenda as well as the Executive Committee agenda. I had the opportunity to walk those board committee members through what the new wages look like. I think some key talking points here. One, it's critical that we attract and retain our paraeducators to the Huron Valley schools. We know that when we have attractive wages, we can keep people in important positions that help the district continue to offer an exemplary educational experience. We also recognize that amongst our para ranks, there are different types of positions. And so what you'll see in this wage scale is that there is a difference between what we call building level paras and district level paras. And so the wages are commensurate with those two designations. So you have the wage scales in front of you. You've received them in advance of this meeting. We talked about them at both of those committee meetings. And Mr. Van Gotham and I had an opportunity to meet with both Ms. Ryan and Mr. Dimmick last week on Friday just to ensure, because they were not on either of those committees, to ensure that any questions that they might have had were asked and answered. And so we are asking for board support of the HVPEA wage reopener this evening.
Okay. Do I have a motion? Yes, Ms. Pisano?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. And do I have a second? Mr. Dimmick? Mr.
I'm sorry,
Dimmick.
who's the
Is there
second?
Mr. Dimmick.
Thank
Is there any questions? I do have one question, and it's regarding the schedule itself. It's broken out into level 1 and level 2. It's described as building level and district level programming. Could you explain the difference between the building level and district level programming and the different wage scales?
So the district level programming would be considered level 2. That would include our categorical programs, for example. So, for example, the ASD program draws from students from around the district. So we call it a district level program. Whereas level 1 would be considered a building level program. And that would include, for example, our literacy paras. They serve the students at that specific building, not district-wide students. So district level, another example of level 2 would be our emotionally impaired program, our adult transition program, our EI program, our SXI program. District level 1 would be our PBIS paras. Again, building level support, literacy paras, office paras, all building level support specific.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a motion, we have a second. Any other questions before we take a vote? Okay, let's go.
All right. I am a yes. Mr. Dimick?
Yes.
Ms. Dodd?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Grzymkowski? And Mr. Wiseman?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next, Bogey Lake water main improvements. Dr. Slav?
Mr. Van Gotham, I'll turn this one to you.
So as part of the bond program that we created in 2019, one of the things I think was really a feature selling point for the community was bringing our community water from White Lake Township down Bogey Lake Road to our Bogey Lake campus. And so there was two pieces to that. One was the actual water main itself being brought down on Bogey Lake, which if you had been around Bogey Lake this past fall up until really the holiday season, they were continuing to work on that water main. I can tell you that the water main is complete. And so that part that was in partnership with the township and Huron Valley Schools is complete. And the second phase of that is really doing our internal water infrastructure on campus. And so as part of that work, we have solicited TNM Asphalt, who is a cooperative partner of the district, who is doing a lot of the Bid Pack 9 concrete work. And they also obviously help with situations like this. And so they have given us a quote for the work. We have it priced at just on about $1.8 million, not taking into account a 12% contingency. Again, we are asking that the board consider this at the April meeting, but for first pass, we have brought it to the board for consideration. And again, it's part of the bond program. And I think really one of those feature selling points that, we can, I think everybody is pretty proud of the fact that we're, bringing this water down to a campus that has, relied on wells for its inception. So, happy that the water main is complete, and then asking the board for at least an initial pass at this, and obviously available for questions and comments. And so again, we'll come back probably to the exec committee as well as finance and operations before the April 17th board meeting.
And so you'll follow the same plan as the board reviews this and has any questions, gather the questions and share them with the rest of the board. And TMP, who this contractor is recommended to, is already mobilized and is one of our not only consortium or our co-op members, but is doing considerable amount of work at our TMP.
So TMP is our architecture, and Mr. Weinreich's here with us.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure we appreciate his time if there was any initial questions, but so TNM Asphalt is actually going to do the work, right. And then they're actually partnering with DVM Utilities, who was actually the partner with White Lake Township on the actual water main, to work and consult with them so that we make sure that this large water main that was created can connect properly to our internal structure. So
long and short of it, everybody that's been driving up and down Bogey Lake has seen all the work that's been done. Now we're taking the water or the piping that's been completed along Bogey Lake and now bringing it into the Lakeland campus, and that's what this contract's all about.
Yeah, and so really briefly, I mean, we have a water main that's been in system since we figured out 1975 or 1976, and so we need to basically, start over again with a brand new water system, because that's really outdated as far as, the water that's being brought to the campus. And while that's cast iron mostly, there are solder pieces that are lead based, and so we need to really just move forward with an updated structure, and hence. This was part of the bond program, but it was really the second phase of, we get the water main built and then we fix our own internal space. So there'll be a lot of work done on campus, on the Bogey Lake campus, because obviously we have to connect to the new water main coupled with Lakewood and White Lake and Lakeland schools. So that's going to be some work that'll be done most likely in the summer, but it will spill into the fall. Obviously, there's a lot of work to be done. And, with asking the board to do it in April and then ordering all the pieces, as we've alluded to, I could see this project, I would love to have the water turned on here before we get too close to the holidays this coming fall.
And there's a lot of legislation, a lot of conversations as it relates to clean water. And I know that we've been reading in the paper that there's possibilities of grants and from both the state and federal level. While we're doing this and we're talking about it being taken out of the bond issue, are we actively investigating how we can maybe subsidize some of these costs?
Absolutely. The goal is to not have to pay for any of this out of the bond fund, but the accounting team's working hard to see where we can find those dollars, Mr. Wiseman.
Thank you. Any other questions? I know you're always looking for that quarter on the floor.
There was one in the hallway.
Was there one in the hallway? Well, I saw Jeffrey. I'll probably run out and get it. All right. Thank you very much. And that'll be at our next board meeting too for approval. All right. Public comments. Is there any other public comments? Seeing none. Good and welfare. Do we have any good and welfare? Mrs. Pastana.
So I'm going to report on District Parent Council at Good and Welfare, if that's all right. We had a great meeting, lots of great feedback from parents who are typically very involved, good discussions. As Dr. Slaw said, we talked about strategic plan. They were given a construction update, a budget update, safety and security, and social emotional learning. We covered everything at DPC, but there were great questions, and I don't have anything else to report. Good questions, and everybody seemed pleased with the presentation. So I think we meet again in May. Does that sound right? May. And then just my other two quick things. Pops show. Obviously, I think other board members went. It was great. It was fantastic. Always a highlight in the spring to see. So kids did great. And still talking about March's Reading Month. I get to read at Apollo, Country Oaks, and Spring Mills this week. So I'm excited, looking forward to that.
Great. Amy?
At our Finance and Operations meeting, we had Shannon Loso from Rec and Ed. I just want to let you know that spring and summer camps, all of that is open now. So if you need a great thing for your child to do this summer or this spring, check out Huron Valley Rec and Ed.
Thank you. Yes, Jacob?
Yes, so I had the opportunity this week to go to Country Oaks Elementary for the kindergarten and junior kindergarten orientation with my son, and that's one of the schools that was recently upgraded. We were actually there last year, my son and I, in the parking lot shooting off those Estes rockets. So it was cool to go inside though and see how much has been done. It's a beautiful building. The class, my son was blown away by just the color and everything in the class. It really catches you, and there's a lot of detail put in by the teachers. So we got a chance to visit all 4 of the kindergarten classes in that wing, and he's very excited. And I know on May 2nd we have where he actually gets to go spend, I think it's about half a day. He gets to go there and actually spend the day at school. So very excited for it. Just wanted to say thank you to everybody who was involved in that. I know there's a lot of moving parts in getting these things going, and we probably had about 100 or more parents at Country Oaks when I was there. So great opportunity.
It's an exciting day for the parents along with the student, isn't it? And one of their highlights, I know from experience, is they get to go on the yellow school bus and go for a little ride. So that's a big highlight. Yes, Laura?
So one of the March's Reading Month things that I want to highlight, we had an author in the district last week, Dusty Bowling, and a lot of the schools have been doing one book, one building, or whatever. I don't know what it's called. And when my daughter brought her book home and the schedule that was sent home, I was a little daunted. But it was wonderful. The author came in and she didn't just talk about the book. She really entertained the kids, but talked about how important it is to read. And she mentioned, and this is the thing my daughter took home, that I would happily have her come back and record so we could play it all the time. And she said, if I would have had screens when I was a kid, I would not be an author. And that's something that my daughter took home and was so excited about. So her books were outstanding. We've now ordered all the rest of them. But really the elementary buildings, especially during March's Reading Month, every single person's working really hard. I talked to some of the folks who are working in the libraries and doing book fairs and getting all of these books out and everything. I think it's sort of their, for lack of a better term, their Christmas, right? Is getting all of this together and seeing the kids get so excited about reading. So thanks to everybody for the work. And thanks to Dusty Bowling for coming and inspiring buildings of kids to put down the screens and pick up some books.
Thank you very much. Anything else? Yes, Jacob.
There was one other thing I wanted to mention was, I know you guys mentioned the Pops over the weekend. I was at Kroger today, and I just wanted to share this really quick, that I overheard two women talking about how great it was, and the one said she went there twice, so I said, sort of struck up a conversation with them, and it turned out that the one lady was our former administrative assistant for Huron Valley, so just randomly met somebody in the parking lot, and just great to hear our district being talked about like that everywhere I go, so. That was it.
That's good news. Anything else? Next on the agenda is closed session. The purpose of the closed session is negotiations. I just want to make certain that everyone knows that our Board of Education meets under the Open Meeting Act as a public body, but such public body such as the school board is allowed to have closed sessions. Negotiations is one of those areas as it relates to that. A closed meeting can occur. The purpose for which a closed session may be held. The closed meeting or closed session both go together. Even when a school board is permitted to conduct a closed meeting, the law prohibits taking any action during the closed meeting between decision and deliberation. So going into closed session, we will be discussing negotiations. We will adjourn this meeting, go into closed session. There will not be any action. Once closed session is adjourned, we will go back to open meeting, and at that point in time, we will close the open meeting, and there will not be any action at that point in time. So with that, could I have a recommendation or a motion to go into closed session for negotiations? Amy?
I'll move that we go into closed sessions.
Do I have a second? Second by Member Dodd. Could I have a roll call, please?
Absolutely. Ms. Grzybkowski?
Yes.
Ms. Dodd?
Yes.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Dimick?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mr. Wiseman?
Yes.
All
We will go into
Motion
closed
passes.
session at this time.